Another day, another huge Pac-12 story. And this time, I got to tell you, as you guys are hitting the like button right now, that means you should go hit the like button.
Yeah, do it.
We had this story on NBC being out on the Pac-12 network at least Monday. So as the Pac-12 turns on this show, really has kind of become the lead story for the last 6 weeks. Day, right? Well, today we got lit up with DMs and tweets because Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated on his podcast apparently said, hey, NBC Universal is out on the Pac-12. As we reported on this show Monday, we told you on Monday that NBC Universal was out and that this NBC deal to stream one single NFL game, and they're paying $110 million to do it. One game for the NFL playoffs on Peacock exclusively, $110 million. Wow. But that took them out of contention for the Pac-12. And really, we had talked about this last week as well, that silence from NBC was never a good thing because you knew when there was no update and nothing was moving forward. And our sources had said there really has not been much here for about 2 weeks. And when I say not much here, that was a significant change in tone because NBC and the Pac-12 had substantive, significant conversations about the hows and the whys and the wheres and the whens that they were going to do a deal. And we reported exclusively on this show about 6 weeks ago that NBC Universal was going to use USA Network as their primary home for Pac-12 football, and that there would be a game a week on Peacock, and that this deal would essentially eliminate ESPN as well as Apple TV from the conversations with the Pac-12 because NBC Universal was going all in. The problem was all in was $150 million as we reported on this show.
Facts.
So there was going to be a revenue shortfall, which is why that deal was not consummated. We have talked to our TV sources. We have heard repeatedly from multiple people that $150 million was the number that NBC Universal was capped out at on Pac-12 athletics. And again, we're talking about USA Network, which is already a sports hub for NBC Universal. That's where you find your Premier League football, among other things. So it made sense. It made sense for NBC to own the late night window. They already have Big Ten After Dark coming to Peacock and NBC. They are working very diligently to renew Notre Dame football. And I think this deal with the NFL, and I think the best way to say it is it caught NBC not off guard, but I believe they went into those negotiations believing that would never happen. The NFL was never going to put an NFL playoff game exclusively on Peacock until they did, and NBC agreed to pay $110 million. And Jake, it feels like that was the death blow for the Pac-12 and NBC.
Yeah, and I think that it's really unfortunate because I think NBC was one of the few spots that had a nice setup for the Pac-12. You know, you look at NBC and you look at ESPN, and they both kind of offer the same thing, except the only difference is NBC was willing to give you a lot more money, and NBC was willing to work with you on a lot of different things. And I think, you know, there's this story that's come out today about how, you know, the Pac-12 announces they're going to do all this behind-the-scenes stuff and this cool sideline stuff.
But wait, Jake, was that today? Because I think that was about 3 weeks ago right here on the Monty show that we told you that ESPN and the Pac-12 were indeed still working together to add new features to the broadcast.
Oh.
About 3 weeks ago we told you ESPN. Well, you can't make this up. And the funny thing is, look, I understand. Trust me, bro, we don't have sources. You guys, you know.
No, Trust Me, Bro is dude's name.
Yeah, that's
the source's name, and he's very informative. Oh,
hey, Monty, it's Trust Me, Bro. How are you?
Here we go. Ready.
Hello? Hey, Monty, it's Trust Me, Bro. Right? Like, that's how my life has lived when the phone rings. Anyway, my point is, we've known this, and I encourage you again, it's all on YouTube. It's all there forever. But this is a big, big deal.
Yeah.
Because I think one of the other things that you have to consider is that ESPN's business model is changing, right? Andrew Marchand, New York Post, the leading media authority in this country, reporting today that ESPN is going direct to consumer. They are targeting people who are saying, hey, I'm done paying for a cable or a satellite bill. And I think this has always been the natural progression in the TV industry, that ESPN was going to cut out the middleman. And they are going to go directly to your cell phone and directly to your television.
Facts.
And ESPN is sort of already doing that by ESPN app, the ESPN Plus features, like all of that. But now they are clearly pointing the mothership. That's what's called direct to consumer, DTC, because they want to stop with carriage fees. They want to stop with carriage disputes. They want to be able to reach everybody anywhere they are on the entire planet. And right now, to a certain extent, they are limited in doing that because you either have to download the app or it's not in your nature now because you can flip on your cable or satellite provider and get ESPN TV.
Facts.
But you've talked about this repeatedly, that paying a cable bill is quickly becoming a thing of the past.
Yeah, I mean, again, I've said so many times on the showroom that if I didn't do this show or I didn't need to be 100% in the loop on every little thing that we need to talk about on this show, I wouldn't be a DirecTV customer. There's just no need for it anymore. I mean, quite literally, the only reason that I am a DirecTV customer is because the Utah Jazz, who we built our channel on, basically, we are known to talk a ton of Jazz during the NBA season and obviously with the draft and everything. But the issue is that the Utah Jazz can't be found with ease on like a YouTube TV, let's say, or any other huge platform. You got to go to like Fubo or whatever.
Right.
So for me, the only reason I'm a DirecTV customer and not a YouTube TV customer full time is because I needed to watch. The Utah Jazz, and then furthermore, as I dug into YouTube TV, noticed that they didn't have an MLB package attached to their service. So for me, I was like, yeah, dude, like I need to watch baseball. I definitely need to watch the Jazz, and I just need DirecTV to do what I need to do for the show. But again, if I was just an average consumer who 2 kids, dog, white picket fence, 9-to-5 job, I would be YouTube TV and probably Netflix and Prime Video. Those would probably be the 3 that I would go with, and I don't blame people for cutting the cord. But again, I think this is why ESPN is so successful in where they're going. And everyone wants to say, oh, well, they're laying people off, and oh my God, they're burning to the ground. And it's like, no, dude, you don't understand. ESPN is incredibly profitable. The only reason they are laying off is because Disney is mandating it, because other platforms in the Disney family are struggling, and ESPN has enough money in it to absorb layoffs and absorb these different things. So that's why I say, when you think about, hey, this is on TV, or this is on, like, hey, the Open, right? The PGA Championship is on. How can I go and get that on my phone? Well, I don't want to have to think about, hey, Fox or ESPN or whatever. Basically, I just want to get into the ESPN app because I know no matter where this is being broadcast, ESPN can provide it to me.
That's right.
That's the beauty of it. It makes it easier for the consumer, which makes it easier for ESPN, which ultimately makes it easier for ESPN to sell the product to advertisers in the advertising space.
Yeah.
That's it. It's
And
that simple.
I think you look at Disney's business issues right now. I mean, whether it is Hulu becoming a problem, whether it is some acceptance of children's programming on stream, because apparently there's some friction there as well. The bottom line is Disney's portfolio makes them $5 billion a quarter.
I thought you said a quarter.
$5 billion a quarter in streaming. The only way for Disney to go with streaming is up. And they're still making right now at a low point $5 billion a quarter. But you also understand that Disney as a business unit has issues in the state of Florida with Ron DeSantis. And today it was announced that Disney is terminating a large development project in Florida, in Orlando, over this dispute with the government. Like, there's just a lot going on in the Disney sphere, and that is pulling ESPN down. But you look at that number, $430 million a quarter coming in on ESPN subscribers, and that number is growing incrementally. So what are we talking about this for? Because now you say, okay, well, ESPN's now going to really start targeting cord cutters by going direct to consumer. Well, that means they're trying to make more money. And really what it says is ESPN's in no hurry to cut a massive check to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
And I think ESPN has played this masterfully, for better or for worse. No, depending on your perspective and how you feel about it, ESPN's played this masterfully, because my guess is when a TV deal eventually gets announced, and I will also say, somebody today said to me, if a TV deal gets announced.
But Ray Anderson.
If a TV deal gets announced. Because did anybody see what Arizona Athletic Director Dave Hickey said? Jason Scheer, I think at Wildcat Country or an Arizona blogger, put this out.
This is crazy, dude.
This is Dave Hickey who is saying this, the athletic director at Arizona. I am not sure how to say it because it might change tomorrow, but we are faced with a new and ever-changing world in conference realignment, or in conference alignments, excuse me. Adjustments will have to be made, but I know that we will land in a very good spot. So wait, did you just say the athletic director at Arizona,
Dave,
whose President Robbins, has very clearly and very plainly said, hey, I have great affinity for the Big 12. They are a power basketball conference.
I want it.
Did you just say that adjustments will have to be made, but you know that Arizona will land in a very good spot? Oh, do tell. Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona, continues. Certainly the hope. Who knows? Whenever you print the results, it may be different than the hope. So you're let me get this right. So you're hoping that nothing changes, but the result might be different than you had hoped. Uh-oh.
It's probably different than what you're thinking, though.
Dave Hickey, the athletic director at Arizona, continues.
Dude, stop talking, please.
We'd like to be with the Pac-12 and continue the great tradition of the conference.
Congratulations, but that's bullshit.
You should put your hands at 10-2.
Here it comes.
If not, there will be a new landscape and a new opportunity for the University of Arizona.
Whoa.
Holy cow.
Dude, chill.
Arizona Athletic Director Dave Hickey being brutally honest.
Bro.
Yeah, I guess I'll have to figure something out.
Like that is
that's
as keeping it real as I can remember from an athletic director.
Just say that they might land in a different conference that starts with a B and ends with a 2?
No, what he said was, hey, we don't want to leave, but we probably have to, and we're going to be just fine. I mean, you're starting to see when you put all these pieces together, well, another TV partner's out, so let's get this right. Amazon Prime Sports out on the Pac-12. Fox Sports out on the Pac-12 as a Tier 1. ESPN not paying any more than $90 million. Give them whatever you want. NBC Universal out on the Pac-12. Apple TV up in the air, remains to be determined.
Right.
But this is a significant statement from an athletic director who said that they'd like to stay in the Pac-12 and continue the great tradition. If not, there's a new landscape and a new opportunity for the University of Arizona.
Dude. Bro.
So this is only on top of President Robbins at Arizona, who said, I know what the Big 12 number is. I just need to hear what the Pac-12 number is. Then I can make a decision because,
dude,
Arizona's close to the Big 12, and that league's powerhouse basketball brand gives me some affinities, according to Dennis Dodd at CBS Sports.
Bro. So wait, you've been talking to Brett.
Ooh.
You have a backup plan, and you're just waiting to see what number comes down. And then, a couple weeks, it's the 18th of May, probably have a deal with inside of a month or so, certainly before the end of June. Okay, so you're telling me you've talked to Brett, You have a plan. You're just waiting for that $20 million number to be announced on the Zoom call with George so that you can go ahead and call U-Haul and pack your stuff. Dude. That is a wild statement to put out. That is either going to be like a hallmark, like comment we'll never forget in the history of this conference, or that thing's going to be laughed at for like the next 50 years if they find a way to get a TV deal.
And then there's Matt Ritson, who paid $5 to make this comment. Hey, Monty and Jake.
Hey, Monty.
Pac-12 Network comes on Blackberries.
BlackBerry rolled out the QWERTY keyboard.
Blackberry Pearl. Good Lord. Derek Myrie gives us $10 to say just a wonderful show. Thank you, Derek. Appreciate
you, bro. Dude, I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't even know. I'm still sitting here in shock over this because, we saw this before the show, and I was just like, dude, like, why would you say that? I mean, because think about it. You just came out and said, like, you put it in the press that Arizona, a players program is definitely got a backup plan, and there are going to be other opportunities if the Pac-12 doesn't work out, dude. This isn't like you're leasing some apartment, bro. This is your conference alignment, man. Like, this is a big deal, and dude's over here talking about it like he's just like, yeah, well, we'll see. If it works out, great. If not, we're going to go join BY in the Big 12. Dude.
I mean, is it too strong to say that that's I mean, he's hinting at leaving the Pac-12.
Oh, I think he's doing more than hinting.
I don't know how else you slice that statement. But again, I just go back and recap this because I see a lot of people joining the show. The news today is significant in that Ross Dellinger at Sports Illustrated confirms our story from Monday.
Yeah.
Right, Monday.
Yeah.
That NBC Universal is out on the Pac-12. Ross Dellinger Thursday, after we reported it Monday, today on his podcast said NBC Universal's out.
And again, that's because they paid the NFL for one game a week.
100 and not one game a week. One playoff game exclusively on Peacock streaming. $110 million.
Yeah.
NBC Universal paid the NFL. And that was Pac-12 money. And now that's gone. So they're out. And we also reported this week that ESPN paid Pat McAfee what some believe is $150 million for 3 years.
But wait, the optics.
But in all seriousness, you look at this comment by President Kirk Schultz up at Washington State who said, hey, there are people, the TV partners, and he had mentioned ESPN and said, well, but Tech is going through layoffs and they think the optics would be bad to announce a deal. And he was clearly talking about ESPN.
Yeah, clearly.
And then ESPN announces, hey, we're paying Pat McAfee what is being reported as $50 million a year.
Oh.
For 3 years. And his entire staff. And we're paying to produce the show. But the optics, right? And now you hear that they're making $400+ million a quarter on streaming. But the optics. It's not the optics. You know why Pac-12 doesn't have a TV deal? Because they don't have somebody to distribute their product.
Facts.
For a dollar amount that will keep the league together. And I know this is going to sound trivial, and I know that people are going to say that, hey, you know what? You're making a mountain out of a molehill. For the first time today, a source that we talk to regularly used the word if.
Yeah.
The Pac-12 remains. Because let's also not forget this San Diego State story.
Yep.
And again, not to keep telling you, hey,
bless up. We told you everything.
It's not triple penalties to San Diego State after June 30th.
Which is what was initially reported.
And what Sports Illustrated continues to report. Today they reported that if San Diego State leaves, they have to pay $51 million after June 30th. San Diego State and conference officials confirmed to us that it's $34 million. That's a completely different number than 51.
Yes, it is.
But it's $17 million less. So if they leave by June 30th, they pay $17 million, San Diego State.
Yeah.
If they leave the Mountain West after June 30th, they have to pay $34 million. So you hear that on top of, well, ESPN doesn't really have a TV deal to make with the Pac-12, and now you hear, well, they're paying Pat McAfee, and they're going direct to consumer. Like, I think the Pac-12 is at the bottom of everybody's list. Because I would also remind you what we've reported on this show. Sources in the TV industry have said to us that ESPN, it's almost an automatic, is going to renew NBA rights for $5 billion a year.
Yeah.
I said a year, not total, over like 5 years, $5 billion per calendar year.
So wait, you're telling me that they need to lay people off to control their margins so that they can make sure they have enough money to pay the NBA rights?
Well, that means optics.
Oh, but it's optics. They're laying people off because they're struggling. So they would never want to sign Pat McAfee. What?
Yeah, it's
no,
a problem.
No, dude, they're laying people off because other sectors of Disney are struggling. And I would think, this is just a guess, right? Just a guess. I know we don't know anything. But I would guess the layoffs and saving some of that cost help you pay $5 billion a season. So don't tell me that ESPN is sweating 90 or let's get insane, $100 million for the Pac-12. I don't want to hear that the Pac-12 is at the bottom of everyone's list. You know what the Pac-12 is? The Pac-12 is irrelevant because you never win anything and you don't do anything in revenue-generating sports. You need to win the Rose Bowl, Utah. You need to not go to Georgia and get your face kicked in, Oregon. Like, you need to go and win the national TV game. Nobody cares about Week 6 in the Pac-12. You need to win Florida Week 1, Utah, and then you need to not lose to Penn State on national TV. That's why the Pac-12 doesn't have a TV deal.
Yep. William Lorg, thank you for the super sticker. He gives us $10 on that. Hey, big shout out to our guy Marlon Shaw, who gives us 10 memberships.
Let's go, baby!
Let's go. Appreciate that. Nate Simons gives us 5 memberships.
Let's go!
Let's go. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for participating in the show.
Boom.
Quick update for you. Bryson DeChambeau of Live Golf is the leader at the PGA Championship. 4 under 66 in round 1. Scotty Scheffler. Yep. Scotty Scheffler's a shot back at minus 367. Connors at minus 367. Keegan Bradley minus 2. He shot a minus 268. They had are you guys ready for this? I'm not even joking. The PGA Championship was delayed because of a frost delay this morning in Rochester, New York.
It's really
they had a crazy cooling trend come in, and they couldn't start the round this morning because of frost.
Yeah.
So it's kind of later, and they're hoping to get everybody through. I think Phil Mickelson's in the last group. Like, there's a lot of big names. Max Homa's on the course right now. There's a lot of big names at the PGA Championship who are likely not to finish their round today. So we'll keep you updated on that. But Bryson DeChambeau is the leader in the clubhouse, minus 466 after round 1, after his round 1 of the PGA Championship. All right, guys, great to have you here today. I appreciate you. Let's get some of your thoughts in here. Expedition Greg, how the heck are you? Any truth to the rumors of Washington and Oregon to the Big Ten?
Another point this week.
We reported this exclusively on the show because Brett McMurphy had gone and tweeted out that they had been cleared and vetted. And Brett McMurphy, I hold in very hard regard. I've known Brett for many years at Action Network now. But Brett had tweeted out this week that Washington and Oregon had been cleared and vetted. That might have been last week, too. It all runs together. But we actually did a lot of homework on that story because I'll be candid with you. I didn't know what cleared and vetted meant.
Yeah.
Like, what did that mean? So we really got aggressive with it. And TV industry sources and conference sources told us that the Big Ten has the financial structure to pay for Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal. That they went to their TV partners, and based on the way that the TV contract is structured, CBS and NBC would pay the bulk of the fee to bring in Washington, Oregon, Stanford, and Cal to the conference, because the TV contract specifically calls for Fox Sports to have Big Ten Saturday afternoon, which is the early kickoff, the early window kickoff. CBS at 3:30 Eastern, and then obviously later on, you have Big Ten After Dark with USC and UCLA. That's an NBC product. Shoulder programming. They'll have Notre Dame football, which, by the way, it's really important to say, we were also told that NBC is very aggressively trying to renew Notre Dame football. And I think NBC has tried and tried and tried to influence Notre Dame to join the Big Ten. And at this point, Notre Dame has kind of pushed that off. And the battle for NBC is, okay, do we exclusively own the home rights to Notre Dame football for another 5 years? Or do we put them in the Big Ten and potentially lose inventory of Notre Dame football? So what's better for us? Put out less money, but have less Notre Dame. Have more Notre Dame, but put out more money. It's a real conundrum for NBC. But there's no doubt NBC, and I think, based on what I've heard, that Notre Dame wants to stay at NBC. Notre Dame likes that. It's very much like BYU and ESPN. BYU enjoyed their relationship with ESPN during independence. Notre Dame enjoys their relationship, and Jack Swarbrick, the athletic director at Notre Dame, has a very good relationship with NBC, and I think they'd like to continue that. I know NBC would. I believe Notre Dame would. I think that's a big factor, but yeah, we have heard through some rock-solid, very high-level sources in TV, CBS and NBC are willing to pay for those 4 schools. The issue, I think, is that the Big Ten does not want to be seen, and the word that was used was raiding the Pac-12. And the truth be told, there's no rush. Because if the Pac-12 is never able to secure a grant of rights, because they're never able to bring an acceptable TV deal to the table for these 10 presidents, nobody's raiding anybody. These schools are going to leave.
Right.
And I know so many people gave us a ration of crap yesterday because our sources in a major college conference source, and I'm trying to protect this person, but a major college conference source told us that if this Pac-12 deal is not settled until late July or August, that it would be very damaging to relationships that the Pac-12 has built. And that was clearly pointed at San Diego State.
Right.
And again, you know, their athletic director, I mean, has really put his cojones on the line with this, I don't know, what would you, this plant at Athletic where he said, hey, we're going somewhere.
Yeah.
It's the Pac-12 or the Big 12, we don't know. And was not asked to follow up and never provided any. Well, he put himself in a really precarious situation because let's not forget that J.D. Wicker, the athletic director at San Diego State, said this after we reported, and now it's been confirmed, that San Diego State had extensive conversations with the Big 12.
Yeah.
And essentially told the Big 12, hey, we're much more comfortable. We feel like we align much better in the Pac-12 because of our West Coast, you know, situation, travel plans, the health and mental well-being of our student athletes. And that's all well and good.
Yeah.
San Diego State wants to be in the Pac-12. But if you don't get this deal done till July or August, didn't you just put like a roofing nail through their testicles
That's the bottom line.
at San Diego State? Like you just doubled their expenses.
Yeah. Yeah, you did.
Like it is a huge problem, and in my opinion, it would be incredibly damaging to the Pac-12 if they do not have a deal by July 1st.
Well, and this is why I always take an issue with, you know, Kirk Schultz lately, or like, you know, any of these Pac-12 ADs or presidents talking about how they have time, because I've never believed you've had time, right? Because you notice how it gets conveniently mentioned that, oh, well, the Pac-12 was the last of the table, and you know they're just running into bad luck, and it's like, no, dude, Why are you the last to the table? Because you dragged your feet and you didn't prioritize competition.
That's right.
Meaning that you let the Big 12 get out in front of you, and you thought because you were the Conference of Champions that somehow, you would be able to wrangle ESPN into some $400 million opportunity, and that's never going to happen. And that is why you are in this situation. So if July 1st gets here, right, because June 30th is the deadline for the San Diego State situation. July 1st gets here, you don't have a TV deal done. Is anyone going to be surprised? Right? Like if I told you, hey, time went by and the TV deal didn't get done, you wouldn't be surprised because that's been the situation. I mean, again, they can keep telling us, hey, we have time, we have time, we have time, right? Like Kirkshaw's talking about how, hey, we got multiple bidders coming to the table as time goes on. That is complete crap. You know why it's crap? Because multiple bidders have already come and gone. We know that for a fact, and we're not the only ones saying it.
No, and I think to that point, I would recap, and you guys, your comments have been amazing today. I promise you we're going to read your comments. Please hit the like button right now. We're trying to get to 200 likes every single show. It would really help if you would do that. But let's recap who's come to the table and who's come and gone.
Yeah.
Right? We had Brian Lawler, the president at Scripps Sports, Ion TV, on this show, not once but twice, saying we're not talking to the Pac-12, we're out. Right? So Ion TV, Scripps Sports, we know the boss was on the show, out.
Yeah.
Right? We told you, we talked to somebody very high up at the CW who told us the Pac-12 wanted the entire country. We were willing to give them regional. We were willing to say, hey, in the Pac-12 footprint, we'll show local games. When Oregon's playing X team, everybody in the Northwest is going to get Oregon.
Yeah.
And we'll make sure that Oregon and Washington, one's in the afternoon, one's at night, so the Pacific Northwest gets a Pac-12 football doubleheader on the CW. And across the Pac-12 footprint, we'll do that for everybody, Arizona, whatever. The problem was they wanted WGN in Chicago, for example. Like, they wanted the entire country. And the CW wasn't here for that. The CW's out. And you hear about Fox Sports. We exclusively and first reported on this show last August that Fox Sports said, we're out on Tier 1 for the Pac-12. We really want basketball. That's what we're after. And we told you early on, hey, Amazon and ESPN are not going to compete. ESPN and Amazon, those are professionally run organizations. Amazon Prime Sports has some of the top dogs in sports broadcasting right now.
Yeah.
The management structure at Amazon Prime Sports is a bunch of top dogs, power players. They're not going to fight with ESPN, and ESPN's not going to fight with Amazon. Where did you hear that first? Right here, last October. And what has happened now? When we reported last October, hey, Amazon's only in on one game a week, Friday night. They want a Friday night Pac-12 game of the week to go with Thursday night football. But what immediately became the issue for Amazon? Quality of game, for their broadcast. They don't want third-tier game. They don't want Tier 3B game, which is what the Pac-12 could provide.
Because it's garbage.
Because are you going to put Oregon and Washington on Amazon Prime Sports? Well, what's ESPN going to say about that?
On a Friday?
On a Friday? Well, but hasn't that been... How many games, how many teams? Washington, Utah, USC have gone to Pullman, Washington to die on a Friday night.
Yeah.
Right? That's not going to fly at Amazon. They wanted a better game, a Tier 2 game. Pac-12 couldn't do that. Because now what are you going to say to ESPN? Well, ESPN said, yeah, you know what? And we started hearing rumblings about this in December and January. Hey, we're not really after the best game you have.
Yeah.
We're not. Amazon, maybe this is an opportunity. No. Because what happened is we exclusively reported on this show, the Arizona schools, Washington, Oregon, and now we know Colorado are not willing to sign a grant of rights that puts your best game of the week on stream.
Yeah.
They're not willing to do it. So what does that do? That knocks out Amazon. Who else did that knock out? Apple TV, right? Because this conference has also said, President Kase at Washington, our sources have told us, has been the leader to say, we are not putting our best or all of our content on stream. Mm-hmm. We're not there as a conference. So what did that do? That eliminated Apple TV altogether. So now where are you? Well, you're right back at ESPN, who won't compete against Amazon. So what does that mean? ESPN's offering $90 million a year. That's $9 million per school.
Yeah.
And they'll take your late night window game, and they'll take a game for ESPN Plus.
Yeah.
But now you know, well, here comes NBC Universal, we reported in March. Hey, let's do this deal. Let's get it done. Boom, boom, boom. But no, that deal goes away because George wanted more than $150 million. And then all of a sudden, NBC Universal took their money and gave it to the NFL. And what did the NFL buy into for $110 million? An NFL playoff game on stream only, which what have I told you the Pac-12 should do? Go all in at Amazon Prime. Put everything you have on Amazon Prime Sports every Friday, Saturday, and I would pick like a Wednesday. I'd do a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday Pac-12 football package on Amazon.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done. If I were George Kliavkoff, I would have done that.
Boom. Out of here.
They didn't do that, so where are we now?
Nowhere.
Well, NBC's out. Apple's reportedly out. Amazon's out. You have $90 million on the table from ESPN. They're in trouble. That's where they are.
It's rough.
CW's out. Scripps Sports is out. You're in trouble, man.
Yeah.
This is a really difficult situation right
is a
now.
code ton of bork.
And I don't know. And if you've watched this show for any modicum of time, you know I have never said what I'm going to say right now. I don't know how they do this. I don't know how they survive. And when I say survive, I don't know how you get, and I think the number is 7. There's going to be 7 Pac-12 schools. Of the 10 remaining, Pac-12 schools, 7 of them will not sign a grant of rights on $90 million.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
I don't know what you do.
That's it, Skippy.
I really, it is, I think it is dangerous times now
Yes.
for the Pac-12. And I don't know how you fix it. So I wonder, yeah,
It's not good, dude.
yeah. Ron McClure. Jason Shear is totally unreliable. We know him here in Arizona. We know Jason well from our time at the crappy radio station.
Yeah.
I think Jason works very hard. This is not Jason's sourcing.
Yeah.
This statement from Dave Hickey at Arizona,
Yeah, this is a statement, not sourced information.
this was what are your hopes for your conference as you move into new phase? This is not Jason Shear's question. This is a question and this is an answer. And it is not in dispute. Not in dispute. And again, I'll just tell you what we've reported about several schools, just to quell yourself. Arizona and Arizona State are tied at the hip.
Yeah, which makes sense.
Arizona would leave today. Today, I think, they would go. But Arizona State wants to wait it out. President Crow wants to make sure that he gives the Pac-12 every opportunity. And why is that? Because Taylor Randall at Utah, the president of Utah, has been an absolute peacemaker in this process. He has been the guy, and he has been the voice, Taylor Randall at Utah, who has said, hey, we gave George Kliavkoff a job.
Yeah.
Let George and his staff go do the job. And we're told that Taylor Randall has been in communication with just about every other president in the league saying, hey, let's give him time. Let's give him time. And we've also told you there's kind of an arbitrary mental deadline of early to mid-June. I think we told you that about a month ago. Mm-hmm. That early to mid-June. And then I think about a week ago we told you, hey, a lot of these presidents and administrators are going on vacation. And they don't go to like their boathouse in, Muskegon.
And I think this is a really important point. Like, this isn't a joke, right?
No,
you
it's
think
not.
about the lives these people live. Like, they don't do like 9-to-5 office job and put in PTO and that's it.
No,
like,
they don't have PTO.
Yeah, these are like vital figures that run what basically are massive companies in these institutions. That's what this is.
Because what are each one of these universities? That is
It's the first. You know what? It's the first great thing I've ever said on the program, and I'm so amped about it.
Because what are these universities?
They're businesses.
It's
dude.
General Motors. It's Amazon. It's a huge corporation.
So let me get this right. A huge corporation doesn't like players making money, right? Don't like the NIL thing. That's why, because they're a business and they want to make money. But these guys and gals, they go on vacation. And when they go on vacation, Yeah, the
They
business
go to their
burner,
Tuscan villas.
Bro, the business burner gets turned off for 2 weeks, and you're not getting in touch with anybody. And by the way, when they go on vacation, their assistant goes on vacation. Basically, blackout for 2 weeks. So let me get this right. And I know Kirk Schultz, and I know everyone, y'all got all kinds of time. I know. But hey, you're all going to go on vacation. You're all going to come back, and San Diego State's exit fee is going to be $34 million, right? So, but that's not a problem. I know you got coffers and you got all this money, right? So you'll pay that. That's fine. But every day that goes by, seemingly, what do we get?
Yeah.
We get, hey, NBC's out, Apple's out, Amazon's out, ESPN's out on Tier 1. Like everybody and their mom is out on Pac-12. And yet we're supposed to believe that, hey, you got all kinds of time. And then what do I get out of U Arizona Players Program?
A players program.
Yeah, man, if it works out, great. But if not, man, the Big 12 looks real nice these days, doesn't it? Come on, dude.
Yeah, and again, we told you a week or two ago, a pretty high-ranking university official told us, hey, man, you get to middle of June, most of these folks are out of reach. Most of these people, their lights are off and their offices are dark because they're educators. They're academics. So what happens to your grade school teacher on June 15th?
They're not
gone.
academicing.
They're gone. And they're not gone for a week. They're gone for like a month. And so I don't think it's coincidence. And we talked about this on the show with Ray Anderson.
Yeah.
When Ray Anderson says late July, early August, or late July, August, do you think that's a coincidence? That it's not, because that's when everybody's coming back and they're getting back in the pipeline and we're all working. So I'm just telling you, I don't see a way home for the Pac-12 here.
Yeah.
I think they are in a very, very precarious situation.
Yeah, and by the way, I think people need to start coming to the idea, or becoming more open to the concept, that, hey, maybe they don't get a traditional TV deal done. Maybe that's not what it looks like. Because I feel like that's the other thing that I'm kind of waiting for the national media to do. Because what happens is we report something, then the national guys pick it up, and everyone's like, oh, my God, amazing story, dude. Great work. Like, that's what happens. And I know that might sound arrogant, but we have all these examples of it. That's what happens. Trust me, man. So I'm waiting for people to start talking about the fact that, hey, like, yeah, maybe Pac-12 is going to get pigeonholed into the ESPN Tier 2 setup, basically, and they're going to have to find or accept a streaming option to get to 25 a year.
I think if I, again, here it is, May 18th. If I am President Kase, or if I am George Kliavkoff, I'm telling you, get the folks at Amazon Prime Sports, get Marie back on the phone. Marie Donahoe. Get her back on the phone and say, what are we going to have to do to get this done? Hey, Apple TV, what do we... And I'm telling you,
Excellent strategy, sir.
Dude, I would not go to Apple. Am I the only one who sees how bad it's been for MLS? And I'm just like, man, by the way, did you guys see the money that an Egyptian businessman paid to put an MLS team in San Diego? Whale's vagina. How about, what was it, $500 million? I want to say $500 million from a homie in San Diego.
Yeah.
Like San Diego, and this is my problem with San Diego. I'm telling you, it's worth it. It is worth it. And in 2025, you're going to have an MLS club in San Diego. And it's going to be played at Snapdragon Stadium. And it's owned by an Egyptian automotive magnate for $500 million.
Yeah.
There's money there.
But wait, San Diego is just not, no.
Stop saying San
No,
Diego.
dude.
It's whale's vagina.
A whale's vagina, San Diego.
Okay, John Tell gives us John Tilley. John says, cool show, but for the guy that keeps hitting the button that says facts, will you please stop? You took something that was cool and you made it stupid with your overkill.
Facts.
Too much salt on the fries.
Facts.
Okay, you're done.
Sorry, my finger slipped. My bad.
You're such a child.
Sorry, my
John,
bad.
thank you for the $10 tip. Let's see. What's going on, Patrick Bourne? He says football.
Yeah, where you been, bro? I feel like I haven't seen you in a minute.
Yep. Truck Stop Gumby says Baby Yoda greater than MLS. No one cares about soccer. Oh, I care. I care. Sam J, I don't think the Pac-12 keeps all the members by 2024. I think they go by July. I read from Real Dog site that their sources said it already done, just waiting. I don't know what's already done. My guess is, from people we've spoken to, I think when you look at Arizona State, I think Arizona State, and Oregon State, there's a real good chance those three are gone.